You've been delving deeper into this dungeon for days.
Tired, nearly out of supplies, you press against an ancient door.
A massive antechamber opens up before you, a huge, echoing room full of dust and memories.
That's when you see it. The crumbling husk of something massive. A vestigial god, abandoned, forgotten, dying.
Celestial, fiend, all you know is it's desperate to survive. A stubborn ember deep inside of it reaches out.
You accept the deal and make a pact with the dying god.
So we've been going through the Unearthed Arcana Mystic subclasses. Some of these will be coming out soon at the time of recording this in the Arcana Unleashed book, but all of them are available for free as part of Arcana Unleashed. And they've been really interesting. The one we're talking about today is the Vestige Patron Warlock. They describe it as a warlock who made a pact with a dying god, a being once worshipped by countless followers but now abandoned and forgotten. This dying god, which they're calling a vestige, might have been benevolent or evil, strange and knowable, but now it's driven to regain its former power and it needs your help. Narratively, I think really fun. I remember we were talking about this and I was saying, I feel like it suffers from a bit of a branding failure because I didn't know what vestige really meant before I was reading this.
Right.
And I would have passed right over this, but the more I've learned about it, the more I think this is a really, really interesting style of warlock.
Yeah.
Both mechanically and
subclass.
narratively.
This is the subclass I am most excited that they're coming out with. Like, this one I want to play so badly. Like,
Yeah.
there is so much potential with the subclass in every aspect of the game. It is absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to see what they update when they come out with it. Hopefully not much changes, but maybe it changes for the better, or they just say, hey, it's a solid stat already, we don't need to change anything on it, or solid state already.
Well, what we'll do for now is we're going to go through and we'll talk about each level and each key ability that you get as part of this subclass, at least as it stands in the Unearthed Arcana playtest material. And then we'll see how it changed when it actually comes out. But let's just go through it item by item. And then at the end, we can give our take and some of our opinions on what we think about it overall. So
for sure,
starting at level 3, you get a couple of things. First, it gives you what you call the Vestige Companion. And as I understand it, this is kind of a core piece. This really is one of the main building blocks of this subclass. At a high level, you summon a flying companion. It could be celestial, fiend, or undead of your choice. And it has its own attack, and you can do this it has a once a day divine power keyed to its type. Charisma based, it scales its HP with your level, and you can actually repick which kind you get every long rest. Tell me a little bit more about it and what you think about this particular ability.
So the great thing about this ability here is you're getting a familiar. However, it's a familiar that has a combative stat block. So you can actually use it in combat. There's an actual stat block that comes that you can choose melee, you can use range. It gets different abilities based on what you choose, whether you're fiend, whether you're undead, whether you're celestial. It's an absolutely amazing ability because it just amplifies your familiar ability that you would normally get as a warlock, where you can just summon a familiar and that familiar can help out in combat with like the help action and things of that nature. But in this case, it can actually fight at your side, which is absolutely amazing. The other thing too is being able to switch out what your vestige is. Personally, I am not a fan of that, because why would a celestial god all of a sudden be evil and manifest as a fiend or an undead? It just doesn't narratively make sense to me. So the only thing that I have a problem with the companion option is the fact that you can switch it out. I would argue when you go into this subclass, and I would do this as a player, regardless of what the rules say, pick one. And that is your deity. That is the deity you're trying to bring back to life. It is not just being able to switch through because I'm bored with the celestial or the fiend or the undead, which I understand. It's an option to allow you to change through, which is great for some players. But I'm a heavily narrative player where I like role play and narrative a lot. So this really takes away from that, and I'm not a huge fan.
It's a really good point. I would argue if I was going to play this in this version, and maybe this is something they changed, right? But at least the way it's written in this playtest, I would probably want to talk to my DM and say, hey, look, there may be times when I want to use the different abilities that an undead or a fiend or a celestial gives me. And I do that, but just in it differently. Have it always be something that makes sense for whatever this version of this dying god is that we've decided on. So that way, the difference in ability is attributed to something else other than it being incongruous with the god that you've established. I think that's a really good point, because so much of this is such a cool narratively rich subclass. For that to be something that kind of could break that, unless you're willing to have that conversation with your DM, it's worth noting. My only other thing I noticed about this is you do have to command it every turn. And so while it is strong, it's just something to remember that you're having to basically use your bonus action for this, and you don't have a lot of other things you can do with your bonus action, if I'm understanding it correctly. So kind of a tax on your bonus action in exchange for getting a pretty cool narrative tool.
Which I would argue personally is definitely worth the sacrifice of the bonus action for sure.
Let's talk a little bit more about these special abilities that your companion can do depending on which version you have. Basically, you have one that is designed for if it's an undead, and that's called Cursed Invocation, where the Vestige places a curse on a creature that you can see, and it gets disadvantage on attack rolls. The Fiendish Swap, where you can actually change places with it, or Healing Touch, where the Vestige touches another creature. It regains hit points equal to 2d8 plus your Charisma modifier. All of those are really nice, and I would argue not just nice, but very fun. Being able to swap, be able to place a curse or heal,
a lot of options.
Gives you a lot of really good options and fun things to play with. Doesn't keep you in a box at all, which was a problem with some of these other subclasses.
Yeah, I completely agree.
You also at level 3 get what's called Vestige Spells. So you get to pick a cleric domain, life, light, trickery, or war, and those domain spells become always prepared warlock spells. Warlocks have a famously thin spell list, so this is significant, right? At least it seems that way to me.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. You get very powerful cleric spells at your disposal that you just get for free as you level up, which is amazing. I mean, we'll get into it more later when it comes to how I would build this character, but it is really increasing your spell pool drastically, giving you a plethora of different spell damage types like radiant damage, which is great, especially when, warlocks don't have radiant damage options. So it's not only giving you a range of damage types, but it's also allowing you to get more support type spells as well, like Shield of Faith. So it's really just all around powerful. Your level 3 is a huge power spike.
Yeah. It's again, I think just makes a warlock feel really fun to play. It gives you just so much flexibility.
Yeah, for sure.
At level 6, I just want to note, we've reviewed a lot of these Unearthed Arcana subclasses, and there's some that feel like they would be kind of frustrating because the spacing between when you get abilities is rough. You'll have something at level 3 and then not until like level 9 and then not until like 17. This one, it gives you things pretty frequently, which is nice. Level 3, now at level 6, you're getting what's called Vestige Recovery. And it doesn't seem like this is anything crazy, but it is nice. It means that the Vestige's divine power now recharges on a short rest, and when you use magical cunning. So it's not only on a long rest, you can bring back your companion on a short rest or change the way that they work on a short rest. Now, I'm not very familiar with what magical cunning is. So can you tell me a little bit more about if there's anything that I'm missing about how this ability works? And also, what is magical cunning?
So with Vestige Recovery, you do get the ability to, on a short rest, have your companion gain their ability, their special bonus action ability back that they can only use once a day. So whether that's switching places with your companion, whether it's cursing your enemy or healing your allies, you're able to get that ability back now on a short rest, which is huge because it's just keeping your companion in the fight, which I think is Very powerful. The other thing that is also very powerful about this level 6 ability that you gain is the fact you're able to get your spell slots back on a
Yeah.
short rest, which means you can get your packed magic spell slots back off of short rest instead of long rest. This is going to keep not only your companion in the fight, but you as well. Very, very powerful ability here to go with your level 3. So you're losing nothing here on the level 6. I wouldn't call it a power spike, but it's just maintaining the momentum that you already have at this point.
We've talked about at level 3, you get Vestige Companion, you get your Vestige spells. Really cool. Then at level 6, you get Vestige Recovery, which helps just keep you and your companion in the fight that much longer. Okay, now at level 10, you get Aura of Power. So basically, what I understand of this is it gives you a 30-foot aura, giving you and your allies resistance to fire, necrotic, radiant, and immunity, harmed and frightened, plus a built-in safety net. If you drop to 0 inside of it, you can pop back up. Basically, your Vestige Patron dies in your place once per long rest. Pretty cool. This seems like a pretty significant power spike.
Incredibly powerful. Like it's one of those things where your Vestige now is a paladin. Your Vestige has an aura that you don't have to worry about for yourself because it can move. So like if you're say you want to be on the back line, you can put this up with your front line and you're not. Yeah, so it's not around you, it's around your companion, which means you can move the companion around the battlefield and not have to worry about being, I'm going to be on the front line with this aura. Well, that's useless. So you're able to move it around to use it where it's needed. It is incredibly powerful. It's one of those things where not only does it help you, because if you go down, it dies in your place, which is wow. But then in addition to it, it's giving you so many resistances and options to, again, as combat's going, stay up in the first place. Again, very powerful. I would argue this is another huge power spike for the subclass. Just the fact that it can go down in your place is powerful in and of itself. I would argue that this is another huge power spike for this subclass.
I've got to say, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. I know we'll talk about this. This just immediately has me thinking about things like building a relationship with this companion. Make it talk. Whether you decide how it talks or your DM does. Make it something that you have a relationship with. You get these incredible cinematic moments where it can then fall on the sword for you in these epic moments where you would otherwise die. Really fun.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now, lastly, your sort of capstone ability actually comes at level 14, which is kind of unique and may or may not be something you like. Some people really want that extra boost as you get to level 17, 18, 19, 20. I would argue at level 14, the beauty of that is you're much more likely to hit that level in a given campaign.
Yeah.
And it gives you the flexibility where if you do go to 20, you can multi-class and bring in some other interesting stuff. So that said, at level 14, you get something called Semblance of Life. When you get this, your Vestige briefly transforms into a full summon celestial fiend or undead creature. Free once per long rest. A big temporary power spike and the dying god blazing back to life for a moment. That seems pretty cool. In practicality, tell me more about it. What does that really mean?
So outside of the narrative awesome sauce that is, this is a incredibly powerful ability. So you are able to summon Celestial for free if, say, you go the Celestial path. What the Summon Celestial does, and the reason I know this off the top of my head is because it is one of my favorite summons in the game, is you get a Celestial Knight. So think of some armor-plated beast of a Celestial standing at your side. They have an 18 or 20 AC. They deal multi-attack. I believe they get 2 either ranged crossbow attacks or 2 greatsword attacks. Jeez. When they deal damage, the damage that is dealt, they then take, I believe it's either half of the damage or a percentage of the damage. I can't remember exactly. But then give you or an ally that in temporary hit points. So not only do you have a tank that's now hanging out with you for free on the front line, or you have a long range crossbow that can give temporary hit points. I mean, you can also get
Wow.
temporary hit points from the melee attacks. This is an incredibly powerful summon,
That's really cool.
and narratively, it's just amazing.
So, okay, this seems really cool. This seems like one that we have a pretty positive opinion of. Let's just get right to it. Is this one that you think you mentioned already? This is one that is maybe the one you would be most excited to try out.
Most excited to try, most
what's your hot take on this
well-written, most
overall?
well-rounded.
Yeah.
My only hot take that I have with it, I'll take that back. I have 2 hot takes. First hot take, out the gate, you shouldn't be able to switch out every day. You should have to choose what your patron is, what their alignment is, and you stick with that throughout the game. The other hot take I have, which again is more of a me situation, the other summoned options you have when it comes to like the fiend or the undead, they are drastically weaker than Summon Celestial. Summon Celestial is a powerhouse of a summon. The other 2 are not. So again, if you're a min-maxer, you're pretty much going to be horseshoed into the Celestial option because it is, in my opinion, the most powerful summon you're going to get outside of compared to the fiend or the undead. Now, the undead, you have more options because you can summon a skeleton, a zombie, a ghoul. Yes, the Celestial will beat those hands down every single time.
I think along those same lines, I would be really tempted, or I would want to, if I was DMing this or playing it, I think I'd want to push this more toward kind of the way that the Circle of Titan Druid is themed, where you have just 3 different versions of this Titan that you can become. None of them are inherently good, bad, or neutral. They're just one is a flying version, one's just a water version, right? And I look at this, and that's kind of what you get, right? You get 3 different functions from these different alignments. And I think that's what they were trying to offer, is give you some ability to summon differently depending on the situation. And I agree. I like that. Even at a higher level, there's certain things that an undead might be better for than the celestial. I would just say make that irregardless of alignment so that you can have a clear alignment with your god that's dying, and instead just be able to summon 3 different versions of that god or have them manifest in 3 different ways. So you can still have that situational flexibility. And my point that we've already talked about would be, I think you can actually do that without changing anything here, just in terms of reflavoring things. You talk to your DM.
Right, you could essentially reflavor Summon Celestial.
Exactly. You could just say, hey, I'm gonna have this dying god that is evil or undead, but I'm gonna use Summon Celestial, and I just want to, let's just say that it looks like this other thing. We've talked about how it works. I'm curious, if you were going to play this, how would you build this character? Would you multi-class? What stats would you go for? What are your thoughts?
So I would build this tier Warlock. I dip into Constitution as well. And the reason why Constitution is also important is after I hit that level 14, which is arguably a gigantic power spike, I would go into Paladin flat. Like if you were going to go level 20, take your last 6 levels into Paladin. And the reason I say that is because not only do you then become a frontline fighter with your companion, but you now benefit from the aura. You're tanky just like your companion. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's a pretty terrifying front line when you're dealing with a Summon Celestial and a Paladin all at once. That is a 2-man. Well, I mean, technically speaking, it's your character, so that's a 1-man army. That is incredible.
It's a great point. I was thinking about how that aura of power is really cool, but a lot of the time as a warlock, you're going to want to be a little further back while your team is up there. You're going to be wanting to send that guy forward to support your team, which means in that situation, you're probably not going to benefit as much from that ability to regain, have it die on your behalf. Whereas if you go Paladin, then you can be going up and pushing the front line with it, which makes that a lot more valuable. Feels like a really natural synergy and really, really fun. So totally agree. Overall, I would say this one gets 2 big thumbs up from me. It's definitely one 100%. That I would love to have at my table as a DM, or that I would want to try playing out.
We hope you enjoyed the Vestige Patron Warlock as much as we did. It's an absolutely amazing subclass option, and I hope that you guys take the chance to play it and give it a shot, both for the narrative purposes and the subclass itself. Thank you for joining us. We do have a Real Play podcast that we run on Twitch every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Time. If you want to see us play some games, see how we run some of these subclasses. The other thing is, anything we have that we run on Twitch, we do post here on YouTube, along with many other amazing videos. So go check those out on our page of everything from beginner players and beginner DMs to other subclasses that Wizards of the Coast is coming out with, and some fun little things here and there that we just wanted to do because, you know, we're fun like that. Appreciate you being here around the campfire. We could not do it without you. I hope to see you next time.